The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. If you wanted to see the video of that woman smoking her father's ashes, it's on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air. Did you hear that? Did you hear that on your way?
No, I missed that. What?
I saw you shaking your head.
I was like, no way this is possible. What am I walking into this morning?
Yeah. Dan sometimes asks me to bring prep to the Amigos.
Yeah, so I think he asks everybody to do.
So that's what I brought today.
Nice.
So here's a video. You asked me to bring content. Here's a video of a woman smoking her father's ashes.
Did it say why?
It was his wishes.
Light one last one up for the boys.
She's not like some slouch. She's got 14.6 million subscribers on YouTube.
Jeez.
Wild.
Yeah, weird. So not your average crazy lady. Just
I thought the reference might be lost on Dan, but do you remember the movie How High?
Yeah,
with Method Man and Redman, they smoked their friends' ashes, and then he helped them cheat on all their tests in college. Maybe she's going for something like that.
I don't know what her dad's going to be able to help her with. Maybe taxes in the future.
I haven't watched How High in maybe a
years.
Decade.
Yeah, it's been whoa.
It's been a long time.
It's been a little bit, yeah.
It was hilarious the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it was good.
I wonder what Dad Chris thinks of that movie.
Maybe not show the kids right now.
Like when I was 21, it was hilarious. I wonder how I feel today.
Maybe wait till at least high school.
And maybe I don't rewatch it and just keep the memories fond.
Yeah. Nostalgia will live strong in the brain.
Nostalgia, it's a powerful drug.
Oh my goodness!
So we've been watching the Trump effect happen in real time. We've seen Mika and Morning Joe. They've gone to Mar-a-Lago. They've kissed the ring. We've seen their ratings take an absolute nosedive, and now the Trump effect is continuing to take shape. The AP, the Associated Press, they got to downsize. They're cutting their staff by 8%. Because major news outlets are stopping buying their content. Yeah. Even major news outlets are now looking at AP and thinking, you're kind of fake news. The Associated Press has acknowledged as much their financial problems yesterday, and they began offering buyout packages to some employees and laying off others, downsizing by 8%. Crazy. You're seeing this all over the left. I don't know if you heard Mandis's interview with Matthew Hurt, and I made the point to Dan, always a good listen when Dan talks with Matthew Hurt. But he says, there are layoffs happening all over the DNC as well. What is it? What's that old saying? It's go woke, go It'll come to me. It'll come to me, I'm sure. But the AP, I mean, they were a go-to news organization. They've been providing stories that are ready for print or broadcast for decades. Decades now, and they got to downsize. They say the downsizing is to focus on digital news gathering, the outlet reported. Maybe if they had paid attention to the internet and understood what was happening in the lead up to the election, they wouldn't have to downsize. The AP is experiencing some financial losses that other mainstream media outlets have seen accelerate in recent years, and you love to hear it, don't you? CNN is reportedly laying off hundreds of staff, including on-air talent, before the end of the year. Do you think we get that just in time for Christmas? Do you think? I don't know. I joke, I kid. I do feel bad joking about people losing their jobs, you know? But if they weren't such lousy people, maybe I would feel worse.
Maybe if they stopped lying on the air, it would be a little easier to allow them to.
You could give them a little bit
feel
more
a little
grace.
bit of sympathy.
Yeah. So I teeter on that line. Am I a bad person for relishing in the fact that these individuals are losing their jobs? Is that you know what? Actually, I don't feel bad. You want to know why? These same people wanted you and I to lose our jobs because we didn't want to take an experimental vaccine during the COVID pandemic. All right, I'm back. I don't feel bad anymore. So the CNN is reportedly laying off hundreds of staff, including on-air talent, before the end of the year. The outlet said those who qualify for a buyout, which includes severance pay and some health care insurance for 18 months, would be informed by the end of business Monday. Those getting axed would get the news in the next few weeks. I mean, you got to be biting your nails if you're working over there. You got to be. Some of the AP's issues accelerated in 2024 when both Gannett and McClatchy news chains, which control around 230 outlets, including USA Today, said they would no longer purchase news from the outlet. Although the outlet sells its materials directly to the consumer on the internet, much of its business is still conducted with member news outlets who pay a monthly or yearly fee for access. That model, I mean, I think that has to do a lot with it too, right? The AP losing 8% of its staff. That model is done. You don't need to buy your news from anybody anymore. You can just get it for free. It's this thing called the internet. But the AP's been around for a while. It started in 1846. It used to pride itself on being the largest news service in the world, providing news with reporters stationed around the globe. The AP has said that less than half of those affected would be directly producing the news. A news and media union, the News Media Guild, revealed that 121 members would get buyouts from the company. However, the outlet would not confirm the numbers exactly. We all know this is a time of transformation in the media sector. Daisy Veerasingham, the AP's president and CEO, told the staff in a Monday morning memo. Our customers, both who they are and what they need from us, are changing rapidly. This is why we focused on delivering a digital-first news report. We now need to accelerate on this path. You know, they're waking up to the game, albeit a bit late. The internet has taken over. Traditional media is dying, and this is just another sign. Just another sign. And you know, I said I feel bad a little bit, but again, these are the people that wanted us to be fired because we wouldn't take an experimental jab that neither stopped you from getting it or spreading it. So it's hard to feel bad. It is. It's hard to feel bad. We're also seeing the Trump cabinet continuing to take shape. We have a new FCC director, and I like this guy, Brendan Carr. The End Wokeness posted this on Twitter. It said, America, we're in good hands. And this is Brendan Carr testifying a couple years ago as the FCC commissioner.
In 2021, Vice President Harris agreed to lead the administration's signature $42 billion effort to extend internet service to millions of Americans. It's now been 1,039 days since that program was enacted. After all of that time, not one person has been connected to the internet. Not one home, not one business.
Don't you love it that a guy that is going to be our new FCC director is willingly calling out Biden and Harris on their BS? I'm a fan. This is what we need. This is what we need. These are the type of people that are going to get in there and shake things up.
Not even one shovel worth of dirt has been turned. And it gets worse. No infrastructure builds will even start until sometime next year at the earliest, and in many cases, not until 2026. This makes Vice President Harris's $42 billion initiative the slowest moving federal broadband deployment program in recent history.
You know, have you noticed a recurring theme throughout all of these agencies? Because I don't know, maybe I'm just connecting the dots. What did Uncle Phil used to say? He's like, I'm just a professional dot connector. I feel like the recurring theme with a lot of these agencies is wasted money. Just buku amounts of wasted dollars. Not their dollars, but your dollars. And I think that with Doge and these new appointees coming in, things are going to change. We are witnessing a radical retransformation of the American government. And I was talking to my wife last night. I was like, I think we're going to, I still think we're in for some hard times. Like, I don't think that January 20th is going to come and then on the 21st, it's going to be rainbows and sunshine. What they say, it's like it takes 5 miles to turn around an oil tanker. We have to turn this thing around. But I do think that they're putting people in place that in a year or two, we're going to look left and look right and be like, wow, damn, man, we did it. We did it. It's going to take some time. But when you put guys in there like Brendan Carr at the FCC chair, when you got guys like Tom Homan coming in, it's clutch. And one of the things that I've noticed, and maybe, you know, this is anecdotal, and I know Democrats have kids too, but the incoming administration has tons of people coming in with huge families. Trump's got 5 kids. Vance has 3 kids. RFK has 7 kids. Hegseth has 7 kids. Rubio has 4 kids. Elon has 12 kids. Duffy, the new transportation secretary, 9 kids. Ratcliffe has 4 kids. Burgum has 3 kids. Noem has 3 kids. Waltz has 3 kids. You're seeing people put into positions that actually have skin in the game and want to leave a country for their kids and their grandkids. And that gives me a lot of hope, man. It really does. It's anecdotal at best, and you can make the argument that doesn't mean they're not looking out for themselves. But I truly believe you got a lot of people coming in that want to see this country set up for decades and decades to come. And they're thinking long term, which is what we need to do. For so long in politics, it's been 4 years and 2-year cycles. We need to have a 100-year plan for America, the same way China has a 100-year plan for China. And when you look at these guys coming in with all of these kids, all this, huge families, maybe it's just me, but I do think that bodes well for us. I do think you have people with skin in the game. We also had the transportation secretary. I mentioned that a moment ago. That was named as well. But the funny part is all of these picks are just being just trashed in the media. So Sean Duffy is going to lead transportation. The BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, they tweeted out, Trump picks Fox Business host to lead transportation. But that's the headline. They left out the important parts. He was a district attorney for 8 years and then a congressman for 8 years. And I love how they try and trash him. He has no experience. He has no experience. It's like, wasn't the other guy just like a failure of a mayor? Isn't that who we have now? Wouldn't a district attorney for 8 years and then a congressman for 8 years have a bit more experience? I would think so, but the BBC just wants you to think he's a Fox Business host. You got to love it. When they attack you with just that kind of stuff, you know that you're over the target. On the way, I do want to talk about FBI director. I want to talk about FBI director big time. Steve Bannon says it's a done deal. Kash Patel is going to be your next FBI director, which, it's got to rustle some jimmies. It's Jimmy status rustled, okay? Consider that happening if this is true. There are other people that are bringing up other names, though, which will rustle other jimmies. Jimmies we don't want rustled. I'll tell you about both those guys on the way. Whose Jimmy's will be rustled? Only time will tell. I feel like I should say Jimmy's rustled one more time because Mason keeps shaking his head in disgust when I say that.
Do it one more time.
Jimmy's will be rustled. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
We got you.
Up ahead on Super Talk 99.7, we'll tell you what's happening in Ukraine and Russia as Ukraine begins using U.S.-made long-range missiles. That's coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. Have they told Biden yet that they're going to be using the long-range missiles?
Good question.
That's what people want to know.
Yeah.
It actually blows my mind that this is, we got a couple months left, and this is what you're going to do? You're just going to get us into World War III? That's nice. It's nice. You know, Anthony Blinken's already on record saying that from now until January 20th, every dollar at their disposal will be going to Ukraine. And I was like, oh, I didn't know we had a Ukraine, North Carolina. You know, I didn't know Ukraine, North Carolina was hit by a hurricane. Bunch of slime balls. Like, there are Americans that need help, and let's send all the money overseas.
Not all the money, all our money.
True.
Yeah.
That's important. That's important. Your money, my money. You know, we're putting our kids in debt for a war we don't care about. It's nice. It's nice. That's the theme, though. All this wasted money. Ridiculous. Kash Patel could be the next FBI director. Steve Bannon is on record saying that he is going to be the next FBI director. Bannon said it's a done deal. And I love it if it's true. I do. Here's what Salon says. Do you want to know what Salon says, the liberal rag?
Not really, but if you want to tell us,
this is the endorsement we need. This is the endorsement we need. Kash Patel would be extremely dangerous as FBI director, former agent says. This is what I like. This is what I like. Now, Kash Patel is on the record saying what he would do if he would run the FBI. And it goes back to that theme. It's always about wasted money.
Then we need to decrease what I call government creep with personnel. The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government.
This is why they're terrified of Kash Patel.
And they should be.
They absolutely should be. Salon says he's extremely dangerous, according to one former agent. Is this the former agent that's looking for a parachute out of government? Looking for his next promotion? A former FBI special agent has said right-wing loyalist Kash Patel would do major damage if President-elect Trump selects him to lead the Bureau. Putting someone like Kash Patel in a position of director of the FBI is, I believe, extremely, extremely dangerous. Daniel Brunner, a former FBI agent, told CNN on Sunday. It's so dangerous. Last week, reports surfaced that Trump is considering Patel to lead the FBI, sticking to his longtime pledge to fire current FBI director Christopher Wray and replace him with a loyalist. Patel is a former Trump aide and spent 3 years working in the Department of Justice. He unwaveringly supports Trump's calls for retribution against his political enemies. In an appearance on Steve Bannon's podcast in July, Patel said he would come after those who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Can we at least get somebody that's willing to look at it? Just look at it. Because we don't even have anybody in there that wants to investigate anything. They just say, oh, no, it's conspiracy theories. You know, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. But Patel, on the record, said, we're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. We'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. You can understand why the deep state is shaking in their boots when a guy like Kash Patel could be your next FBI director. You understand, right? Now, there are rumors that there are other people up for the job, including Mike Rogers. If that name sounds familiar, he just lost a Senate race to a Democrat, Alyssa Slotkin, in Michigan. This guy couldn't win a Senate race in Michigan. Trump won the presidency. He couldn't win the Senate race. Classic loser. But this Republican congressman, former congressman out of Michigan, he was an Intelligence Committee chair. He just lost that Senate race. This is who they want. This is who the deep state wants. I'll explain to you a little bit more about Mike Rogers, plus we'll dive in a bit more on why they don't want Kash Patel when we get back. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. First and foremost this morning, we still have a crash that has the roadway closed on 65 northbound this morning. This is in Columbia, but between Columbia, the Highway 99 exit, that's number 46, to up to exit 53. It's due to a crash. Again, that's 65 northbound lanes between exit 46 and 53. That roadway is shut down this morning. Breaking news this morning, Ukraine has provided by the U.S. into Russia for the very first time. And that action comes days after President Biden gave approval for their use. It also comes just as the Kremlin announced an updated nuclear doctrine that says Russia could unleash a nuclear strike if subject to an attack by a non-nuclear country that has the support of a nuclear state.
Putin has made nuclear threats before that have proved to be hollow. A senior Ukrainian military source telling me this is blackmail, but also warning nuclear weapons are a Pandora's box that shouldn't be opened. This move likely aimed as much at President-elect Trump, who's promising to end the war when he takes office, but he'll make that all the harder.
That's ABC's Ian Pennell. President Biden is pushing through a new federal rule that would forgive even more student loans. And this time, it includes potential future borrowers. If finalized, that new rule would authorize student debt forgiveness for students who have at least an 80% chance of defaulting. Those students would be determined by the Department of Education, which President-elect Trump promises to eliminate. A Seattle woman has been charged with threatening a mass shooting at the Metro Christian Academy here in Nashville. 27-year-old Adriel Poku told police that the messages were actually sent by her ex-husband. But Goodlettsville police determined the incident was a ploy to regain custody of their 4-year-old child. Poku was flown to Nashville and arrested yesterday. She faces a host of charges. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand, here for my friends at Kingdom Fence Company. If you need a fence, call Dave at Kingdom Fence Company. They want to let their fence tell the story of your land, no matter what you need, residential, commercial, farm, agriculture. They do it all. New, repair, or insurance claims, and beautiful fences. Stacked fences, board fences, pool fences, dog fences, aluminum, chain, privacy, all of it. 615-390-5891. Get your fence from Kingdom Fence Company. 615-390-5891. Kingdom Fence Company, LLC.com.
Then we need to decrease what I call government creep with personnel. The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government. That's been the theme.
Shrink government, stop wasting money. That's Kash Patel. Steve Bannon is saying that he's going to be the next FBI director. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. No official announcement yet. But I love it when you hear him speaking. Shrink the government.
So massive government reform.
Yeah. You got to work with Congress to eliminate the billets. This is one of the things we did when I was deputy DNI. We got to DNI and I was like, okay, what do all these people do? We've got the CIA, so why do I have analysts doing the CIA's job here? Why do I have a floor of them? Like, give me a good answer. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. But if you can give me an answer that satisfies their existence, I'm all in. Well, we just have our own people. Okay, well, now we don't.
Now we don't. The facial expressions from Kash Patel during this interview with Sean Ryan, it actually illustrates the point. He like rolls his eyes. Oh, we just have our own people. Well, now we don't. And he says the biggest issue is the intel shops in the FBI. Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of them. He said, I saw the same thing as deputy director over at the DNI. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. We don't need it.
And we went to Congress and zeroed out a bunch of billets, and they hated us for it.
Why? Why would Congress hate you for that?
Not Congress, the public. Congress is like, great, you saved us money. You're the only agency that returned money this year because we didn't spend our entire budget. We were literally funding seats with no humans in them for years. And what the government creep that I was talking about is these agencies go to Congress every year. And again, this is why it's a thing of decades. I need 5 more seats here. I need 10 more seats here. Okay, you keep doing that. How's that going? Oh, we'll fill that seat next year. We're in the process of, interviewing people for that section. And it keeps, no one returns money. It's the biggest fiction in government that you can't return money. Every agency and department that I've ever worked for, when it comes to the fiscal end of the year, they're like, go on trips, go spend money. What? Just give it back to Congress. We can't do that.
Just give the money back to Congress. We can't do that. You understand the theme. You get why people are a little bit on edge if Kash Patel becomes the FBI director, right? And this is the same thing that we're seeing across the board. Across the board. You got the new FCC director. He's railing against the broadband infrastructure that Kamala Harris and everybody wasted a bunch of money on. You got Doge looking at everything and looking under every rug for wasted money. You're going to see the bureaucratic class strike back in some form or fashion. And that's why when I see headlines like the Salon headline, Kash Patel would be extremely dangerous as FBI director, former agent says. I said, well, thanks, Salon. That you're just telling me that that's the right choice. You're telling me that's the right choice. Kash Patel says, let's just give the money back to Congress. Why do I need to go on trips? We can't do that. We can't give money back. He says it's the biggest fiction in government that you can't give money back. The biggest fiction in government. And again, I'll just say Steve Bannon, who he knows a lot of things. He's in the right circles. He says that it's a done deal. Kash Patel is going to be the director of the FBI.
It's our own Kash Patel, just named the director of the FBI. I want to start with Mike Davis on this one. Mike, you got Gates and President Trump, whether he's got to use the Appointments Act of 1998 or use for the first time in the history, forcing him into going in recess. President Trump's laid down. Matt Gaetz is going to be his attorney general, and he doesn't want to hear any gruff about it. What about Kash Patel think of the touchdown twins. Gaetz at Main Justice at DOJ and Kash Patel at FBI, sir.
Kash Patel is another grand slam pick by President Trump to lead the FBI, the most broken and corrupt institution in Washington, D.C. Kash has serious legal credentials, serious national security credentials, and he will go in there and make the necessary reforms to fix the FBI that has been so badly politicized and weaponized against Trump, his top aides, his allies, since at least Crossfire Hurricane, the biggest scandal in American history, where the Obama-Biden administration weaponized the FBI and intel agencies to go after Trump on Crossfire Hurricane because Hillary had her illegal home server as Secretary of State hacked with our nation's most classified secrets and her foreign bribery schemes. And that's what this lawfare against Trump is all about. It's an ongoing criminal conspiracy starting under Crossfire Hurricane. Kash is the perfect pick.
Kash is the perfect pick. He has experience. He's got history. He is not bought and paid for. Kash is the perfect pick. He's the perfect pick. And you heard what he said he would do if he ran the FBI. Shut down that office. Spread them out. Go fight bad guys. Can we get back to fighting bad guys? And instead of going after our political opponents, can we get back to fighting bad guys? I mean, let's be honest. We need that. You know, another reason why the deep state is shaking in their boots about Kash Patel is, his takes on January 6th. He was the deputy director of the DNI. He was there. He knew what was going on January 6th. And he was questioned by the J6 committee, the bipartisan J6 committee. You know, there's this video going around of him talking about the lack of security on J6, where he's testifying. And it's just fantastic because he's being questioned by the Trump team. And the way he lays all this out on what happened with J6 and the lack of security, you can understand, you really can, why they see a guy like Kash Patel and why that scares them.
I think we were going to start with President Trump. Are they ready to call their first witness?
Yes, we would call Kash Patel. To your knowledge, did any senior DOJ leader ever state in words or substance that they felt they needed more or different authorization from President Trump before they could deploy National Guard troops to keep the peace on January 6th?
No.
So why didn't we have 10,000 National Guard troops suited up and armed guarding the Capitol in the morning of January 6th?
There's a multitude of reasons, but namely, step one was a commander-in-chief's authorization, which we had. Step two was a request by the governing body, the local governing body. It's the mayor, since it's Washington, D.C., and or the heads of the Capitol Police Bureau.
So we had the president's authorization for National Guard, but then we need the mayor or the head of the Capitol Police to sign off on it. And listen to what he says.
And Mr. Patel, I would ask you if you recognize this letter.
I do. It's the letter I referenced from Mayor Bowser, I believe on January 5th, to the Department of Defense, where she specifically stated we would not be requesting any additional National Guardsmen and women. And that was her letter to us. That was the declination of a request. And so we were on standby.
Did you testify before the January 6th Select Committee?
I did.
Were you questioned in a public hearing?
No, they declined my request for a public hearing.
I wonder why. Why do you think they declined Kash Patel's request for a public hearing? Maybe he had too much evidence and too many receipts for them to want him on TV doing this, exposing them for the lack of security on January 6th. They try to blame Trump for that, and you can't. You can't. There's a lot of people that you could blame. You know, we can point to possible informants in the crowd. We can point to the lack of security because Mayor Bowser didn't want it, Nancy Pelosi didn't want it. But you can't point the finger at Donald Trump. Remember, they were going into the Capitol building before Trump finished speaking. Did you have a public hearing? No, I didn't. I requested one. They declined it.
Was your testimony public when given?
No.
Did you tell them what you've told us today about the president and the deployment of National Guard troops?
I believe so.
Did the committee ever call you to testify about those issues in public session?
No.
some of the senior officials, people like Kash Patel, apparently not available.
That's Liz Cheney. Kash Patel was unavailable. What a bummer. What a bummer. What a coincidence. What a coincidence.
We felt it appropriate that the transcript should be made public at some point, and after months-long negotiations, they refused to do so and publish their final report. And to my memory, it had been excluded. I think on the eve of the dissolution of the committee, my transcript was the last one released.
I have no further questions, please, sir. Thank you very much.
You called their bluff. And what's shocking to me, because I didn't even really understand this, is that you gave this testimony. Liz Cheney and Kinzinger and you guys, he gave this testimony essentially to J6 and they buried it.
Weird. They buried Kash Patel's testimony during the J6 committee hearings. Are you shocked? Do you get why they don't want Kash Patel in there?
Senior officials, people like Kash Patel, apparently not available.
Not available.
Point blank. Is your testimony basically one of the key reasons that Jack Smith can't and won't indict President Trump for insurrection?
I believe so. It's the truth. If anyone could have charged President Trump with insurrection, this special counsel, Jack Smith, would have done it.
Yeah, he would have. And they couldn't. This is why they don't want Kash Patel. They are so shook about Kash Patel. Now, again, some Republicans want Mike Rogers as their FBI director. This is the guy that just lost the Senate race to Alyssa Slotkin. She's the Dem who had to distance herself from Biden and Harris. They want Mike Rogers. So you've heard from Kash Patel, right? And we've heard Kash and how he feels about the FBI and these bureaucrats. What about Mike Rogers? Well, Mike Rogers is on the record just overflowing and gushing his support for FISA wiretapping. That's who the deep state wants as FBI director.
And I credit George Bush and his administration for assembling this new intelligence community. They passed the Patriot Bill that allows and takes the handcuffs off our intelligence services. Policymakers back here use words like illegal wiretap.
The domestic surveillance program of the NSA. It could be abused.
We're already seeing pressure on the Patriot Act that maybe we don't need it now. Couldn't be further from the truth. The bulk telephone metadata program is legal and effective. Provisions of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act expire at the end of this month. We need to rapidly reauthorize these provisions, and we need to work toward making these tools permanent as a part of our arsenal. Self-restriction, big problem in U.S. intelligence collection. We're the only intelligence service in the world that is forced to go to a court. But we always joked in the intelligence space, we would love to get 1/10 of what Google has on you.
I supported these programs when they were classified, and I support these programs today.
I mean, that's Mike Rogers. That's who there's some people calling for him to be the FBI director. I don't see anybody saying that Mike Rogers would be extremely dangerous to the FBI. I don't see that. I'll tell you what, if it's not Kash Patel, it better not be Mike Rogers. That would be an absolute fail. We're not going back, as the left likes to say, except we're not going back to this neocon deep state establishment. That's got to change. Kash Patel will bring that change. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It is that time of year where we got to be thankful. And listen, we work in commercial radio. We don't bend the knee to the government. We get to tell the truth to you because we have great sponsors. One of those great sponsors are our friends over at the Glock Store. And I just love the story of Lenny McGill. He left the People's Republic of California to come to the free state of Tennessee in 2020. And since then, they have been just off and running. And we love the guys at the Glock Store. I don't know if you realize it, but the Glock Store is primarily nationwide online retailer, glockstore.com. But here in Nashville, they have that beautiful retail showroom. It is incredible. And they have the totally unique Shoot 270 shooting rooms. That's the outward-facing part of the business. And they employ nearly 100 Nashvillians. They're putting money in our community. So this November and all year long, I'm so thankful for the support of Lenny McGill and the Glock Store. And if you like listening to me, you like listening to Mandis and Murphy, you should be too. If so, let them know the next time you visit the Glock Store. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, online at glockstore.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The first U.S. missiles are flying from Ukraine into Russia this morning, and Russia is not responding kindly. And what one Tennessee representative wants you to pay for in the state's school system. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I mean, I bet you people in North Carolina wish that the money that we're spending on the missiles for Ukraine could be used to help them get out of a desperate situation out there. You know, we're weeks removed, yet it's still a bit of an issue. And I think that's an understatement. The FEMA director, Deanne Criswell, she's actually being, the FEMA chief, Deanne Criswell is actually being questioned right now. And she's being questioned about how the FEMA employees, the group text, pass over the Trump supporter homes. Wait until you hear what she has to say about it. I'll bring it to you on the way. Plus, updates on how DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is already in action. We've been covering the waste of your tax dollars across many different departments. It's the thread that ties the Trump administration together as we move forward. So we'll give you an update on DOGE as well. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Russian Defense Ministry said it has shot down missiles launched by Ukraine today into the Bryansk region of Russia. 5 of the American-made missiles were shot down, 1 damaged. That's according to data confirmed by the U.S. It's just the situation that the Kremlin seemed to be expecting this morning.
Nuclear saber rattling from the Kremlin this morning, with Vladimir Putin appearing to threaten to use nuclear weapons if Ukraine fires American-made missiles into Russia. The Kremlin saying the doctrine was updated in response to what it calls the new situation. The new Russian policy essentially authorizes the use of nuclear weapons in response to what it calls, quotes, critical threats of aggression using conventional weapons.
That's ABC's Ian Pannell. Donald Trump and Elon Musk take their fledgling friendship to new heights today. ABC's Jim Ryan saying the president-elect will visit the South Texas launch facility of Musk's SpaceX.
Days after naming Elon Musk to head the new Department of Government Efficiency, President-elect Donald Trump plans to be at the launch facility to see the SpaceX Super Heavy booster lift off. The plan calls for the rocket to return to the launch pad about 10 minutes later to be captured by the mechanical arms on the launch tower.
When Metro Nashville police arrived on the scene of a home break-in near downtown this morning, the suspect was running away.
The individual did not stop, started to run. Officer Ziegler again told him to stop, and the individual, the 21-year-old, fired a shot as Officer Ziegler was attempting to get him to stop. Officer Ziegler returned his fire, and the individual was struck in the buttocks and the leg.
That's the information officer, Don Aaron there. Officer Ziegler was not hit, but Nicholas Lane, the suspect, is hospitalized. News 2 says he is a convicted felon and has 2 warrants out for his arrest for assaulting his ex-girlfriend. She has an order of protection against Lane. Police say he was trying to break into her home when the shooting took place this morning. One state representative wants every school in Tennessee to provide free breakfast and free lunch to every student. Democrat Representative John Ray Clemens' bill says the state would reimburse schools after the schools used all federal resources to pay for it. If passed, the free school meals would be available in the schools next year. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I want to get to these comments from FEMA Chief Deanne Criswell, but first, Bill in Russellville, Arkansas, has been waiting on the line for a minute. Bill, what's up, man? How are you?
I want to get to these comments from FEMA Chief
Bill will catch up with us in a second.
Bill in Russellville, Arkansas.
Here comes Bill.
Waiting on the line for a minute. Bill, what's up, man? How are you? I want to get to these comments from FEMA Chief.
All right. We'll put Bill back on hold.
Yeah, just kind of a big loop feed there.
Bill, I don't know what Bill's doing, but we'll get back to Bill.
Yeah.
All right. So FEMA's been under huge fire, right? You had those text messages leak from Marnie Washington. It said you're going to pass over Trump supporter homes. They essentially saying every Trump supporter has the potential to be very, very dangerous to FEMA employees. So might as well not help them, right? The Daily Wire had that report, and thank goodness those guys exposed that. It's something that we all felt for a while. You know, we can point to many different things, like the train derailment in East Palestine, to it's not exactly FEMA, but when they took those kids out of the school in New York because it was too cold for the migrants. You know, it's just and that was in a Trump district. We always feel like Trump supporters are being punished. So the FEMA chief, Deanne Criswell, was asked about that, and this is what she had to say today.
Chairman Perry, there is nothing in our policies, in our procedures, in our training that would direct any employee to bypass anybody's home based on their political party.
I mean, that's really nice that you said that it's not in writing anywhere, but we've seen the text messages from Marnie Washington. We've seen them. We've seen them. So it doesn't have to be in any official training. It's in the group chat. We've seen it.
I cannot speak to what her motivations were, but this came to my attention again on November 7th. I directed my team to get me information. They gave me factual information on November 9th, which is when I directed the termination of this employee. This first came to our Office of Professional Responsibility on October 28th through the team member from TSA who was working under this individual. She immediately raised it to the Office of the Special Counsel, who took the case as a potential violation of the Hatch Act. There were ongoing investigations with that, and the Office of Professional Responsibility is currently working with the IG to determine what the investigative matters will be going forward. The IG has not of yet stated they want to investigate this, but I highly encourage them to take on this case and look and see if this was a widespread issue or if this was just a single incident.
You know, it's funny. FEMA Chief Deanne Criswell says, well, we don't train people to do that. That's not a widespread thing. But Marnie Washington was on the record saying, no. It's happening, and you can bet it's happening. If it's happening in Florida, you can bet it's happening in the Carolinas as well. I mean, the FEMA higher-ups don't know anything about this.
And someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go to that home. If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly.
I mean, what is the FEMA chief saying? Like we've all heard the audio over and over. You've read the Daily Wire article. The FEMA group was told to skip houses with Trump signs in Florida. Marnie Washington was the supervisor that gave those orders. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? And Marnie Washington's on the record saying it's not isolated. It's not isolated. It's happening in a lot more places. I mean, she was on the Roland Martin podcast, and Marnie Washington said it's happening in the Carolinas as well.
So explain this to me, please. Explain this to me. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand what that means. So again, if I'm on a street and it has 20 homes, and there are 8 homes on that street with Trump signs, and my team has faced hostility from 3 of the homes that have signs. What happens next?
I inform my TFL, my direct report, hey, we're again experiencing hostile encounters. we're moving on to another street. We're not canvassing those homes.
This is what they were doing. They would inform their supervisors that that's what they were doing. She's on Fox News, says we treat it the same way. If you have a Trump sign, you're treated the same way as if you have a vicious dog. Unbelievable. That FEMA chief is on Capitol Hill now, and she's trying to clean it up. She's trying to clean it up, doing her best, saying that it was just one employee. Yet Marnie Washington, the ex-FEMA employee accused of telling her team not to go to Florida homes with Trump yard signs, says the order to avoid certain houses was from her direct superior because of previous encounters.
So to be clear, you are agreeing that there was a directive to skip certain homes with pro-Trump signs, correct?
Correct. And that's due to political hostile encounters. And unfortunately, when we run a community trend of what's happening in the field, we take in all levels of observation. It just so happened that unfortunately, most of the hostile encounters, those running trends did have those campaign signs. Safety precautions are not politically driven. And that's what's being skewed here. Because can Ms. Criswell explain why didn't we canvass on election day or the day after? Why did we receive stand down orders? Was that political or was that safety?
So she's saying she was receiving stand down orders. Can Miss Criswell explain that? Well, we'll have more from Miss Criswell's testimony as she's on Capitol Hill currently. But I hope FEMA gets a radical awakening in this new Trump administration. I'm sure that there's some waste that Doge could eliminate there. Maybe it starts with Miss Criswell. I would start with Marnie Washington, but she's already been fired. Doge is actually already working to expose waste. And have you seen their Twitter account, the Doge Twitter account? It's maybe my new favorite Twitter account. Easily top 5 of new Twitter accounts I follow. This is what they posted just yesterday. Items your tax dollars are being spent on. $100,000 to study if tequila or gin makes sunfish more aggressive. Nearly $1 million to study if cocaine makes Japanese quail more sexually promiscuous. And $750,000 to study if the moon landing was one small step for man or one small step for a man. That study was inconclusive.
Gin to a sunfish versus tequila, which would make the sunfish more aggressive? Nearly $1 million spent studying whether or not Japanese quail, if you give them cocaine, whether or not they're more sexually promiscuous. Was it one small step for man, or was it one small step for a man? And in the end, $750,000 later, they couldn't decide. Was it one step for man, one step for a man?
So Amanda said, maybe they said that during that study they were looking, was it an Ohioan accent? Was it the new Ohioan accent with the Haitian influence, or was it the old Ohioan accent? Does that make a difference? Asking for a friend. NASA is actually begging Elon to clean house at the agency. Have you seen this? And why wouldn't they? Trump is actually going to the SpaceX launch this afternoon in Texas, which is happening at 5 Eastern, 4 o'clock in the best time zone. But NASA is just downright begging for Elon to get in there and get the agency back on track. They're saying that NASA employees want Elon Musk to clean house at the agency after it has blown millions into diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts under the Biden-Harris administration. Listen, when I want to get to space, I want to think about equity. It's just insane. This comes after Musk and Ramaswamy have been appointed as the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. According to the Daily Mail, expenditure reports show millions of dollars shelled out by NASA in grants for programs related to DEI. $2 million was given to LMI Consulting in order for NASA to embark on a venture to incorporate and deeply ingrain diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility in the culture and business. Additionally, if that's not enough, $3 million went to consulting company Booz Allen Hamilton, meant to bolster the Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity DEI data analytics specialty at NASA. So that we're up to 5. $7 million more was shelled out to several minority-serving institutions. Staffers at the agency who just want to go out in space and explore space for the government have voiced concerns over what they labeled wasteful spending going to DEI. Could you imagine working for NASA right now? You see Elon's rocket come back and land itself. You know, I could do the Donald Trump. Wow, look at that! And the big claws come out and it grabs it. You know, it's amazing. Could you imagine working at NASA and you see that company, SpaceX, doing that, and you got $7 million in your budget for DEI analytics? What? Wouldn't you lose your mind? Wouldn't you lose your mind? And this is not to say that we can't have black astronauts or black scientists or you know, all the things. There's got to be black, Asian, you know, you name the diversity box you want to check at NASA that looks at this spending and goes, can we just do space, guys? Can we please just do space? Staffers at the agency are really hoping that Elon Musk will clean house when he gets into his position in the Trump administration. One NASA employee told the Daily Mail that DEI is destroying America's ability to compete with China in space because the Biden-Harris administration will only fund programs that feature it. Do you hear that? DEI is destroying America's ability to compete with China. China. That's right. We can't compete with China.
China?
We can't. We got too much DEI. Do you think there are Chinese employees at NASA that are tired of the DEI and they just want to be able to compete with China?
China?
I would think so. Former Space System Commander in the U.S. military, Rudy Rodolphe, also told reporters that the DEI funding is a small amount relative to NASA's research budget, and then added that NASA should be conserving every dollar of their budget because of the Artemis program, a moon exploration program. Musk and Ramaswamy are promising to cut back on ineffective spending from the feds. I think the DEI programs are going to be the first to go. And for that, I say thank you. I mean, we got to do something, right? There's a lot of people actually very excited about Doge. None of them are government officials. I mean, we got some guys at NASA that are excited, but like the bureaucrats in high positions, not excited. Kevin O'Leary is very excited. You know, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. He's actually been a big voice on the economy in this election season, and he's downright giddy when it comes to Doge.
Here's a breakdown of federal spending, just so that folks at home know where their tax dollars are going. Health care, 25%, Social Security, 20 to 25%, defense, 13 to 15%, safety net programs, 10%, interest on the national debt, 8 to 10%. The way it breaks down is 61% of spending is mandatory, 13% is on debt service, 26% is discretionary, which really will be the target of Doge. And that is a small piece of the pie to try to wring $2 trillion out of, Kevin.
I don't know. I think healthcare could be another place of savings. We haven't really used any technology there yet. We haven't really digitized medical records. We really haven't brought a mandate of AI into that. I think we could save a lot of money. The U.S. has one of the worst IRR returns on healthcare spending when you can compare it to some of the European countries like Switzerland or England or France. They do a much better job, but they share the records on a much more ubiquitous basis that we do. We're always concerned about, privacy, but I think we could fix that too. But I like looking at everything. I don't see any reason why these two can't just release the hounds.
Release the hounds, says Kevin O'Leary. And I know many Americans feel the exact same way. Vivek Ramaswamy going on record about Doge and what's going to happen to entire agencies in the federal government. I'll bring you that when we get back. It's 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ukraine is calling Vladimir Putin's bluff. Also, the U.S. Capitol becomes ground zero for the transgender bathroom fight. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be talking about bathrooms in a little while, too. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's a stinky issue.
It is. It is. But we're here for it. Vivek Ramaswamy talking about Doge. Entire agencies will be deleted. He was talking about this on Fox News, and he posted the clip on X.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies, like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So, yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
Yep, entire agencies will be deleted. Short answer, yes. How many people do you think work for the federal government? Do you know, Mason, how many people work for the federal government?
No, please inform me.
3 million. 3 million.
Jeez, I wonder if they're hiring. Oh, wait, no, never mind. They're cutting people off.
They're cutting.
Trimming the fat.
They're trimming the fat. 3 million people work for the U.S. government.
Holy
Unreal.
cow.
Unreal. This has got to change. And Vivek and Elon Musk, they're here for it. They're here for it. Vivek says the unelected bureaucrats must be reined in.
So first is we want to go right in through executive action to do the failures of the executive branch that need to be addressed. Because the dirty little secret right now, Maria, is the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It's the unelected bureaucrats in the administrative state. That was created through executive action. It's going to be fixed through executive action. Think about the Supreme Court's environment over the last several years. They've held that many of those regulations are unconstitutional at a large scale.
Yep.
Rescind those regulations, pull those regs back, and then that gives us the industrial logic to then downsize the size of that administrative state. And the beauty of all of this is that can be achieved just through executive action without Congress. Score some early wins, and then you look at those bigger portions of the federal budget that need to be addressed one by one. So I think that's one way to think about this is how can the President of the United States, who's been elected with a historic mandate, actually do the thing that the voters have voted for? They haven't voted for incremental change here this time, Maria. We have voted for sweeping change, and the voters actually deserve to get it. And we're focused on how to do that as early and as quickly as possible.
Originally, I wanted Vivek to get J.D. Vance's Senate seat. I was actually really thinking that would be just a great landing spot for him. I never envisioned Doge actually coming to reality during the campaign trail. And now that it's here, I can't think of a more perfect spot for Vivek Ramaswamy. And what he says there, let's get some easy wins. Let's put some points on the board. Let's eliminate the stuff that we know we can eliminate immediately, and then we can go line item one by one through everything else. There's a lot of money that could be saved. And I think for the first time in my lifetime, we have guys that are going into a presidential administration, going into the government, going, let's figure out how we can save money. How long has it been since we've had government officials saying, where can we save money? I honestly can't recall. It hasn't happened during my lifetime. We're going to save some money in a lot of places. A lot of it is really going to be on DEI. You look at how much is being spent on DEI. It's actually wild. A lot of money could be saved with our own Pete Hegseth cutting some of that DEI spending. Do you know that it's about $86 billion for DEI initiatives at the Department of Defense?
I think that the Pentagon is legitimately scared of Pete Hegseth because of his opposition to DEI. Keep in mind, the Defense Department is spending around $86 billion right now on various DEI initiatives. And as someone whose brother has served in the Navy for almost a decade, that's insulting to me. It doesn't make any sense why my brother should be required to sit in trainings about white rage and about how he can be a better soldier by keeping his white supremacy in check, when all he does is dutifully serve his country honorably. And Pete Hegseth wants to root that out. I think that's a very noble aim, and I think that the opposition does stem towards his opposition to those things.
$86 billion is spent on DEI initiatives of the Department of Defense. 86 with a B, my friends, a B. So when Vivek is like, listen, we can point to some things and really cut it out quickly. You know, this is one of those things. NASA begging Elon to come in and get rid of their woke initiatives so that way they can save some money. Those are easy things that we can do day one. Day one. Hegseth is the guy for the job. Just the other day, was it the Air Force Academy? Hegseth took aim at them on Twitter. Mike Lee posted this tweet, and he said, I recently spoke with the father of a U.S. Air Force Academy cadet. He told me that the Air Force Academy's official forms refer to him, the cadet's father, as the cadet's non-birthing parent, and to his wife, the cadet's mother, as the cadet's non-birthing parent. Thoughts? And Pete Hegseth quoted that tweet and said, not for long. Not for long. I mean, we're saving so much money already. $86 billion on DEI initiatives. Unbelievable. I would get angry, but we're getting people in there that's going to fix it immediately. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Overcast 67 right now, and we've got the full forecast coming up. Ukraine is calling Vladimir Putin's bluff. It began using U.S.-made long-range missiles to strike inside of Russia.
A senior Ukrainian official has confirmed Ukraine has used American ATACMS missiles to strike inside Russia for the first time, hitting an ammunition warehouse in the Bryansk region that borders Ukraine. Russia also claiming it shot down some of the missiles. It came as Vladimir Putin engaged in nuclear saber-rattling, updating Russia's military doctrine to say it can use nuclear weapons in response to Ukraine launching conventional Western missiles. Patrick Reevell, ABC News, Kharkiv, Ukraine.
South Carolina Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace introducing a measure that would ban transgender women from using biological women's restrooms at the U.S. Capitol. It comes as the first transgender person elected to Congress, Sarah McBride, prepares to take office.
Sarah McBride doesn't get a say. I mean, this is a biological man. He does not belong in women's spaces, women's bathrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, period, full stop.
Nancy Mace speaking to reporters last night. A judge in New York today deciding whether President-elect Trump will be sentenced in the hush money case. He was convicted on 34 counts.
The only two real options, I think, are to preserve the conviction but sentence him in, say, 2029, or toss the whole thing out and just move on.
That's ABC's Aaron Katersky. We are waiting on that decision right now. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
1037 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Yeah, I love you guys on the Super Text line. I love crowdsourcing this information. You guys are much smarter than I. And Larry, 8624, had the best catch of the day, if you will. We were talking about the DEI initiatives that Pete Hegseth wants to get out of the Department of Defense. $86 billion for DEI initiatives. And Larry said, by the way, $86 billion, almost the same $88 billion cost projected for illegal alien expulsion. It's a great catch. Great catch. We're paying for it already. You know, the illegal alien stuff does have to get under control. Have you been following Lake and Riley and this trial? It's just disgusting. Jose Ibarra, the illegal alien that murdered Lake and Riley. The developments that are coming out of this case are shocking, and they make you angry. But it's like you hear them, and while it is shocking to hear it, you're not exactly surprised. And one of the developments that happened yesterday was that the partner of Jose Ibarra, testified that the Venezuelan illegal alien went to the Roosevelt in New York City to ask for a humanitarian flight to Atlanta. She says they got the flight. Then Ibarra's brother picked them up from the Atlanta airport and drove them to Athens, Georgia, where prosecutors say he murdered Riley this year. So if you're keeping score at home, he got a taxpayer-funded flight from New York to Georgia, and then he killed Lake and Riley. Huh. Crazy.
Someone else that you got to know that you lived with while you were here in Athens?
¿Alguien más que llegaste a conocer que vivió con ustedes aquí en Athens?
Giancarlo Hernández.
Giancarlos Hernández.
And how did you get to Athens?
¿Y cómo llegaron a Athens?
En Nueva York pedimos en Manhattan.
In New York, we asked in Manhattan.
En el Hotel Roosevelt.
And Hotel Roosevelt.
De Manhattan pedimos un vuelo humanitario aquí hasta Atlanta.
In Manhattan, we requested for a humanitarian flight to come here to Atlanta.
And when was that?
¿Y cuándo fue eso?
Como el de 9 a 10 de septiembre.
Around the 9th, 10th of September.
And
they had the flight paid for to Georgia, where the illegal alien, Jose Ibarra, then killed Lake and Riley. Insane. Bill Malugin, who's a great reporter, said that they got the flight, and Ibarra's brother picked them up from Atlanta airport, drove them to Athens, Georgia, where prosecutors say he murdered Riley that year. Huh. Crazy, man. This case is so sad. So sad. Also, coming out of this trial, this Venezuelan illegal alien that murdered Lake and Riley, Jose Ibarra, he's actually a member of Tren de Aragua. Whoa. Oh, what a shocker. Don't worry, though. I'm sure Martha Raddatz on ABC, well, it's only a handful of murders. It's only a handful. Disgusting. These people are disgusting. And Tren de Aragua is everywhere, okay? They're currently in Virginia, Montana, Wyoming, New York, New Jersey, California, Florida, Illinois, Georgia, Louisiana, Nevada, North Carolina, Texas, Wisconsin, Colorado, and Tennessee. Every major city, though only a handful of every major city in Tennessee. I mean, they're in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville. And they say Tren de Aragua is only becoming more violent. The gang has embedded themselves into the waves of millions of illegal aliens that came into our country under the Biden-Harris regime. That source is the New York Post. Can we get some criminal charges for the people that left our border wide open? Can we? Can we get some justice for Laken Riley and Rachel Marin, Jocelyn Nungary, and the countless other victims of this open border policy? It is so sad to see the actual human destruction as a result of these open border policies. And then at one point during the trial yesterday, the roommate of Laken Riley's murderer, Jose Ibarra, testifying that your government paid for the flight that got him to Georgia. Crazy. Are Democrats going to learn? No, of course they're not going to learn. Under Biden and Harris, sanctuary cities have protected over 22,000 criminal illegal aliens from deportation. 22,000 protected them from deportation. And yet you're still hearing governors and mayors stepping up being like, we're not going to assist. We're not going to assist the federal government with these deportation plans. Arizona's Governor Katie Hobbs is on the record. She was on ABC News saying, we're not going to help. We're not going to assist.
When hearing about the Trump administration's plans for border security, the emphasis really is on this mass deportation. What we saw here today is the actual work happening at our ports of entry that are interdicting drugs, keeping those drugs off our streets. And we need more of that to.
Where are the drugs off the street? Let's be honest. Like, what a weird flex. You got tons of Americans dying every year from fentanyl, and you're going to say, we're keeping the drugs off the streets. Does this woman understand what's going on? This is the governor of Arizona, Katie Hobbs.
To secure the border here.
As you know, Trump has promised that he would carry out mass deportations on day one of his presidency. Your state is estimated to have 250,000 undocumented immigrants. Some Democrats in your state, like Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, say that she wouldn't allow police to be used to carry out this plan. Would you, as governor, allow state police and National Guard to carry out mass deportations?
We will not be participating in misguided efforts that harm our communities.
Misguided efforts that harm our communities, like taxpayer-funded flights to send illegal aliens all over the country to kill, rape, and just cause rampant devastation in their path. We're not gonna participate, says Governor Katie Hobbs. She's not the only governor either. J.B. Pritzker, he's on record. We're not going to participate in the mass deportations that Donald Trump is planning. He even called them. He said that they may in fact be unconstitutional and illegal. Deporting illegal aliens may be unconstitutional and illegal.
We, of course, are deeply concerned about, the president of the United States calling out military inside the United States, where people are peaceful, even if there may be people who are undocumented. But the idea of calling out, the Army into the domestic confines of the United States seems uncalled for and may in fact be unconstitutional and illegal.
Oh yeah, uncalled for. Maybe if the Democrats in power had just done their job, we wouldn't need to call for this. Maybe had they just left the Trump era policies in place, we wouldn't have to stress over this. But we do. It's uncalled for. It's unconstitutional. It could be illegal to send the military in to get rid of the illegal aliens. All right. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, the same Michelle Wu who last year had a no whites allowed Christmas party. Michelle Wu says that she will refuse to cooperate with deportations in the city of Boston.
What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact.
Widespread fear, she says. Isn't Boston the area where there was an illegal alien that raped a minor? So that's who you want to protect. Got it. Are you keeping score at home? Are you keeping score at home? I am. I think all of these people are evil. Mayor Michelle Wu, evil. J.B. Pritzker, evil. Governor Katie Hobbs, evil. How can you stand there and act like what Trump and his administration wants to do is the wrong thing? After what you've seen, Tom Homan isn't taking this sitting down. He was actually asked point blank about those mayors and governors and how they would stand in his way with mass deportations, and his response is just classic.
Defending our residents every possible way. Well, she's not very smart, I'll give her that, because what I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? I mean, that's her number one responsibility, is to protect her communities. Yep. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So she helps us, she gets the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. And look, there's a clear line here, and they can't cross a clear line. I would suggest she read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III, that says, you can't harbor or conceal an illegal alien from front of law enforcement officers. So I hope she don't cross that line. They can not cooperate, but there are certain laws in place that they can't cross, and I hope she doesn't cross it. But
don't cross the line. You don't want to cooperate. You better not cross the line where you're now harboring criminals. At what point do they cross the line? It feels like they're crossing the line. Tom Homan's the right guy for the job, though. I mean, he understands what needs to be done. He does. You haven't heard much about Tom Homan since the appointment of Matt Gaetz, but Tom Homan, I mean, he's been on point every step of the way.
A lot of people have wondered, how is this going to work? So how will it work?
Well, look, I think the president's been clear on the stage. As far as the deportation operation, we will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats because they pose the biggest danger to the United States. He's got three rails. So we'll do the deportation operation with the priorities I just talked to you out of the gate. That'd be the priorities. Second thing is secure that border. Lock that border down and catch and release and secure the border. The third rail is we got over 300,000 missing children. Over 500,000 children have been trafficked into the United States. This administration released them to unvetted sponsors, and they can't find 300,000 of them. And based on my 3.5 decades, some of these children are in forced labor. We already found some in forced labor. Some are in forced sex trafficking. Some are living with pedophiles. We need to save these children. So that's going to be the third rail.
Three rails. Easy deportations of the violent criminals. Secure the border. Find the missing kids. If these Democrats had half the heart that they claim to have, we wouldn't be in this position already. But we are. We are. It's absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Rick in Columbia, you're up next on Super Talk. I want to talk about the state of our country. What's up, Rick?
Chris, I'm 74 years old, and since the election, I wake up every morning like a kid on Christmas Day who got every damn thing on his list. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, they're hitting it out of the park. We're putting the right people in the right positions.
They surely are. And ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget in our daily prayers to thank our God for saving our country. And one more quick comment, if I may.
Yes, sir.
In my retirement, Chris, there are now only two things I have to do each day when I wake up, and that's turn on a coffee pot and get ready for the Chris Hand Show.
My man. Thank you for the call, Rick. I appreciate it. And I feel the same way you do. You look at the people that are being put in these positions or could be put in these positions, and you hear the meltdown from the left and from the establishment and from the mainstream media. And when that meltdown occurs, you have to understand it means you're over the target. We are absolutely over the target. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, guys, Chris Hand here, and I want to talk to you about my buddy Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. Open enrollment is here for health insurance, and not only does Shane Ring have over 20 years of experience in health insurance, but he shops the entire market so that way you can find the best plan. He has over 75 different companies to shop from and every type of plan available in the market. He can help you no matter what your income or health situation is. So don't let yourself or someone you know get taken advantage of by call center agents in the limited overpriced health coverage. Shane can easily save you 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums, and many of these plans will even pay you when you use them. So go ahead and give Shane Ring a call today. Let him know that Chris Hand sent you. He'll show you how much money you could be saving on quality coverage today. Just pick up the phone, 615-465-0023, 615-465-0023, or you can hit the website, covernash.com, and book an appointment that way with Shane Ring. Get a quality health plan managed by you, not the government, covernash.com.
All right, got a traffic problem in Murray County, and it is a big one. We're talking about an hour delay, 65 northbound right before Saturn Parkway. You've got a crash. It is blocking the right shoulder. It is backed up all the way to Kedron Road overpass. We got the top stories coming up. A new bathroom bill filed in the U.S. House. We'll tell you about that at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Got a great text here. 7672. How can you have an issue with people likening Trump to Hitler and not having an issue with calling people evil? I think you can guess where this is going. I called the governor of Arizona evil. I called Mayor Michelle Wu out of Boston evil. J.B. Pritzker evil. They're saying that they're not going to be helping with mass deportations. They're essentially going to be in the way. He said, your performative anger and hypocrisy is not helpful. Oh, maybe helpful in continuing to divide this nation. I guess you don't have a job unless you keep your audience misguided in anger instead of community. Disgrace. I'm a disgrace. I'll tell you what, I actually do. I actually do think these people are evil. In Boston, there was an illegal alien accused of raping a Massachusetts child that was set free, despite an ICE detainer. This is the kind of people that Mayor Michelle Wu is not going to help the Trump administration deport. What are you going to call that? You going to call that anything else other than evil? I call evil, evil. I call disgusting, disgusting. See, the difference between us and the left is that them calling Trump Hitler is hyperbolic. Me calling this evil is an understatement. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, in Murray County, 65 northbound, right before Saturn Parkway, got a crash blocking the right shoulder. It is a 30-minute delay. It's backed up all the way to Kedron Road overpass. Tracking a major cool down on the way. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. President-elect Trump's sentencing in the hush money case has been indefinitely adjourned. That according to the Daily Wire, which just put out a button. Republican Representative Nancy Mace has introduced a bill that would ban transgender women from using women's restrooms and locker room facilities on Capitol Hill. Mace told reporters her bill is in direct response to the first transgender member of Congress, Democrat Sarah McBride of Delaware, who will begin her term in January. Mace also claiming her resolution and her position is feminist, but McBride calling the resolution disrespectful, a manufactured culture war, and a distraction from the issues Americans care about. During a news conference today, House Speaker Mike Johnson didn't take a position on Mace's proposal, but did say he aims to treat all members with respect and dignity.
We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will.
Ukraine has fired its first U.S.-made missiles into Russia after President Biden agreed to allow Ukraine to do so. CNN reports the missiles were shot down by Russian air defenses. This news comes as we are also just learning that Russian President Vladimir Putin has changed the rules of engagement involving nuclear weapons. It appears he made those changes in response to President Biden's decision to allow Ukraine to use U.S.-made long-range missiles in its war with Russia. The new doctrine says any attack on Russia supported by a country with nuclear power could be grounds for a nuclear response. Putin signed the new policy today, the 1,000th day of war with Ukraine. And as a recount continues in the Pennsylvania Senate race, Governor Josh Shapiro is siding with the state's high court. The justices have already ruled and this week reaffirmed that incorrectly dated or undated ballots cannot be counted. Here's RNC Chair Michael Whatley.
And then Dave McCormick is going to be declared the winner. But it is important, very important, for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to affirm again the basic principle that every one of these counties needs to follow Pennsylvania law.
He says a recount has never changed the original outcome in the state of Pennsylvania. A shooting early this morning at a Nashville apartment complex. Police say a 21-year-old man who had been ordered to stay away from his ex-girlfriend's apartment at the J.C. Napier home showed up overnight. She called police. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac on the scene.
When officers arrived today, they say the suspect fired at them first. Then police shot back, hitting him in the leg and the rear as well.
The officers were not injured. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
$11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. 7672 texted in, said, "How can I call these Democrats evil for not cooperating with mass deportations, but have a problem with people calling Trump Hitler?" I asked him to call in. He hasn't called in. Spoiler alert. They never call in. They just do the drive-by text. And then they can't defend their position, so they don't want to have a phone call. Billy wants to have a conversation. Billy in Nashville, you're up next on Super Talk. How you doing, Billy?
Hey, I'm doing good, Chris. I love your show, man. I listen to you every day.
I appreciate it. What's up, man? What do you got?
You want to get them out? You want to get the illegal aliens out of here? Just stop all the federal funding.
Yep.
And it won't be long. Those states will be begging the United States for airplane flights back to wherever they come from.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
You got to cut the magnet out.
Yeah.
They're going down and getting passports and getting driver's license and illegally voting too. You know, we got to cut the magnet out.
Yep. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think that's the only way to do it. I appreciate the call, Billy. Steven on the road. He's been holding for a minute. Wants to talk about Ukraine. What's up, Steve?
Hey, brother.
How we doing?
Man, let me Hey, pretty good, sir. Just running down through Ohio right now and heading home. So gonna have a couple of days off. I was listening to Dan earlier too, but about the Ukraine stuff. But them texters that are kind of trying to hit you, man. Let me give them something to think about. They are evil. All these government officials that are supporting all this sanctuary cities and helping these illegal aliens, they are evil. I guess a better term for them would be something like maybe political coyotes, because that's kind of like what they are in a sense. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were actually on the cartel's payroll on that note. So
yeah, nothing would shock me. Nothing would.
Yeah, to be fighting at this point, but yeah, I mean, just on the Ukraine stuff, man, with this, I don't really think it's Russia against Ukraine. I think it's Putin against Zelensky, and Zelensky knows, Putin both knows that what's about to happen in our country, and I'm just sick of seeing this dude in Ukraine with this little short guy with his chest puffed out. At this point, there should be no reason to escalate this war. I think it's been on him since day one that he's got a lot of his own people wiped out because on paper, he's not part of NATO. He's been playing both sides of the fence, so he's responsible for the people in his country. But right now we're having this transition of power. But here's my biggest thing, man. It seems like, I know we got to fill a lot of seats and everything in our government. It's a timely process, but it seems like right now Trump should be the one making any final decisions on what's going on with our money and when it comes down to important stuff like this, because we're looking at a nuclear holocaust, and Biden should not be able to make any decisions on this. This is the safety of millions of people that we're talking about. And when our presidents are elected, after that election is over, the next day or at that moment, before anything else is passed through our government, the new elect president should be the one that makes the final decisions. This could be the end of humanity as you know it, because we have an idiot running our country right now. Yeah. And
I mean, I understand. I get your frustration, man, and I get where you're at. I mean, unfortunately, Trump can't make any decisions until January 20th. He just can't. But he could make a phone call today, and it wouldn't shock me if he has. I would make a phone call if I was him to Zelensky and to Putin and say, enough. Like, we got to stop this. But it does seem like the ones that are in power in the Biden administrations, the ones that are pulling the strings, want to escalate this thing into World War III before Trump gets into office.
Yep.
It's too profitable not to. It's too profitable not to.
Yep. Well, hey, man, you guys have a great day, and appreciate your time.
You too, brother. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Brian in Franklin. Wants to talk about protecting the kids. What's up, Brian?
What's up, brother? I agree 100% with that last guy, but let me assure him, God is the only one who can destroy this world. You can't push a button. It can be bad, and we could go through a nuclear war, but let me just assure him that there's somebody else in charge besides Trump and Biden.
Yeah, I hear you.
On protecting the children, where's the daddies? I just want to hear one of these days. It may be me. It may be you. Somebody attacks one of our children or our friend's children or a child that we know, and the result is going to be this. It's going to be bang. Because I will kill somebody that does that. That's not going to be prosecuted. I know that's cruel and it sounds unchristian, but I will not put up with what they're letting these guys do. They're illegal. They're evil. They need to be in prison somewhere. Build more prisons.
Yeah,
let's put them away.
Let's make a supermax like they did in Venezuela and put your was it El Salvador? Excuse me. Nayib Bukele.
Absolutely.
They make a huge supermax and lock them up for good. And listen, I got to say the thing. We can't advocate for violence here, but if what happened to like Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungaray was my kids, I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind.
Me too.
But I think that this has been a systemic problem in America, demasculizing men. And we've really lost our way.
It's sad. You ain't going to lose your way with me, brother. As long as I got breath and a brain that works pretty good, if something happens, I'm ready. I just want anybody to know that. And people that know me, they know that.
Well,
have a great day.
And hey, man, it's up to you to protect your family. You can't trust the government anymore. I'm not advocating for violence or anything like that, but I totally understand the sentiment. Bill in Nashville wants to talk about Doge. What's up, Bill?
Hey, how are you today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. What's troubling me, and I'm ecstatic about the election, and I'm ecstatic about this Doge department being created, even though it's supposedly lived. But we've paid elected officials for decades to do the cost cutting, the savings, whatever, that they've refused to do. Now you have a new president that's bringing in unelected people to do what our elected officials have refused to do for decades. But let's just say, and they're talking about dismantling departments, shutting them down, whatever. I don't believe it'll ever happen. But let's just say, take the National Education Association gift to us. So let's say that is dismantled. But they've already – those monies, those funds are going to be directed back to the states. So there's no savings there. There's no talk about redirecting some of this misused capital back to the taxpayers. It's just going to be redirected to other departments or new departments created of oversight, whatever. Let's say there's 20,000 people that actually work for the Department of Education. None of those people are going to lose their jobs. Or very few, I would guess. It's going to be shuffled.
See, I disagree. I think you're going to see. I mean, Vivek is on record saying that you're going to see entire agencies disappear.
The name and the department, yes, might disappear, but the money will be absorbed or redirected to other agencies. You don't hear anyone saying.
I think that that's you're wired into what has been. You're being burdened by what has been. Just to simplify it as best you can. What they're trying to do is something completely different. They're not looking to repurpose money. They're looking to cut costs by any means necessary.
I hope you're right, and I pray you're right. Because, but I'm just like so many others. As you said, I'm conditioned to be just so pessimistic about.
Yeah, man. And listen, I'll be honest with you, Bill. It's like until we see it done, it is just hope and optimism. You know what I mean? Until we see it play out. But as of right now, I just there's not much else I can do except for take them at their word until they don't do it. And if we get that new information that it hasn't been done, I'll be the first to call them out and say this was a waste of time and you were blowing smoke where smoke doesn't belong.
Well, I hope you're right. I mean, it's just it's such a refreshing time, or the potential for a let's just say a reset, a new beginning, whatever. It's there, and if term limits don't happen now with this kind of momentum, it'll never happen.
Fair.
If some of these departments aren't reined in, and the right people are being positioned with these cabinet appointments to actually make substantial change, just depending, well, like what Trump said the other day about announcing Gates as AG.
Yep.
Exposing who the rhinos are that are going to oppose all of this.
Yep.
It's going to be quite an uphill climb. There's a lot of momentum, and if it doesn't happen this time, I honestly don't think it would ever happen.
No, I think this is the last stand, and I'm with you there, Bill, totally. But I do like the appointment of Gates, and even guys that hate Gates are coming around to it. Markwayne Mullins is one of those guys, and he was on CNBC talking about Trump's appointment of Matt Gaetz, and he seems to be in the Gates camp now.
I think the president wants a hammer at the DOJ, and he's seen Matt Gaetz as a hammer, and all these other appointments. He's very confident in where they're at and can deliver the administration that he's wanting. His picks have been maybe unconventional, but we hired an unconventional president, and the American people wanted that. They don't want politics as usual. They want someone that's going to shake up Washington, D.C., and President Trump proved he could do that in 2016, and we've had great results with the economy that followed. The American people saw what happened underneath the Biden administration, and it went to I'm going to use good words here. It went to heck in a handbasket. Yep. And then we see where the American people said, we're tired of that. We want something different. So the American people want it to be shook up. And the president is maybe using some picks for these positions that's not conventional, but it's what the American people wanted.
He's absolutely right. This is what the American people want. And I don't know. It seems like Markwayne Mullin there is endorsing Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. That's what the American people want. He's going to be there to do what the American people want. And I understand that he has his issues with Matt Gaetz. So, I mean, kudos to him for saying, I'll put those aside. And if this is what the American people want, this is what they're going to get. And the American people want a shakeup. We want to shake this thing up. Now, but you shake a hornet's nest, you're going to get some people lashing out. You're going to get that. CNN, very upset about Matt Gaetz. The leftist media, very upset. But the CNN, even though they're upset, they're doing this so many different ways, right? Like you can point to any cabinet announcement, and we can point to these articles. But they're like making the argument for conservatives, like in their screaming tantrum, they're making the case for us. CNN posted an article that said a staffing firm that moves lawyers out of government into private sector jobs have been inundated with calls since Trump's announcement of Matt Gaetz to AG. Like, this is what we want. This is what we want. The New York Times tried to fact check RFK. They were like, RFK said that there's more ingredients in American Fruit Loops that aren't in Canadian Fruit Loops. And that's not true. There's only red dye, yellow number 5, blue 1, and BHT. It's like that you're making our case for us. Kash Patel is going to be extremely dangerous to the FBI. And Kash Patel says, yeah, I want to shut down the office and move everybody across the country to go fight bad guys. Like, yeah, these appointments are very dangerous to the people in charge. Very dangerous. But Mike Johnson supporting Matt Gaetz. You got guys like Mark Wayne Mullen supporting Matt Gaetz. Even House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Tom Emmer, who I am no fan of. He's a Matt Gaetz guy now.
Well, let's remember first, Jake, that the Biden Attorney General, Merrick Garland, used the office to prosecute his political opponents and to go after parents who were peacefully protesting at school board meetings. Donald Trump ran on a promise to shake up Washington, D.C. He's doing exactly that, and Matt Gaetz is one of the examples.
Right, but there are questions about that your colleagues on the House Ethics Committee, Republicans and Democrats, were looking into, and Republicans in the Senate say we'd like to see that before we confirm him. Is that an unreasonable request, do you think?
Actually, when you look at what Matt Gaetz has done over the last, I think he spent the last 6 years on the Judiciary Committee, which has direct oversight over the Department of Justice and the Attorney General's office. I think he's the perfect pick for this job because, again, you can't fix what's broken by taking people from inside what they broke. You're going to have to bring people from outside. You're going to have to bring change agents. At the end of the day, Jake, they're all going to be executing on the Trump agenda, not their agenda.
Right. Exactly. And listen, again, I'm not the biggest Tom Emmer fan. What is it? We can disagree and still be friends. We can agree and still be enemies. But he's a Matt Gaetz guy, and he's right. You're not going to fix these institutions by picking the next man up from inside the institution. You're just not. We need a radical transformation in this country. And Donald Trump is bringing that to Washington, D.C. with a renewed sense of purpose. And these picks illustrate that every single time they've been announced. And just the meltdown from the left is the exclamation point. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is that time of year. You got to be kicking your heater on, and you're probably gotten relatives coming over to the house. And is your home ready? Is it? I mean, help ensure your home is in-law and relative ready. To help with that, Busy Bee has a limited number of 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pumps for only $69.95, and that includes labor. It includes equipment, material, and warranty. This system is the perfect balance of energy efficiency and performance, plus year-round comfort for coziness in your home. You're going to have a lot of people spending the night. Maybe they're using the shower. Do you need a new water heater? How about $750 off an upright tanked water heater with a circulation kit? Or even this, a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning. You buy the basic, you get upgraded to the premium for free. This is a great deal. And lastly, you can give your in-laws a free Beehive Club membership. You just got to have one already to qualify for the additional free membership. Busy Bee bringing families together this Thanksgiving. For satisfaction guaranteed, it's Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Online, busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
That is an hour-long delay in Murray County now. 65 northbound before Saturn Parkway. The right shoulder blocked by a crash, backed up all the way to Kedron Pass. That's Kedron Road overpass. The FEMA director admits agents skipped Trump supporters in Hurricane Helene response, and a new bathroom bill to keep men out of women's bathrooms on Capitol Hill. All this and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Mason Fleming producing. Mason, we have an embarrassment of riches. We get Joan half the show, Ken half the show.
Let's go.
Award-winning news.
Well, that first half's a lot better than that second half.
We start strong. Let's not
talk about how we end, boys.
Listen, Joe Scarborough, he went and he kissed the ring for Donald Trump, okay? And that's what he did. He went, he apologized. He was like a wounded puppy. He was a wounded puppy. I was doing Joe Scarborough research last night, and I found this clip, and it's like these guys don't understand that the internet is forever. You know, they attack RFK Jr. He's anti-science. You know that, right? He doesn't believe in the scientific method.
Yeah.
Because he's so anti-vaccine. We had a conversation about this earlier. But you should hear this old clip of Joe Scarborough talking with RFK Jr. This is like, I mean, at least a decade or two ago.
My son, born in 1991, has a slight form of autism called Asperger's. But it seems, and again, when I was practicing law, and also when I was in Congress, parents would constantly come to me, and they'd bring me videotapes of their children, and they were all around the age of my son or younger.
The generation,
something happened in 1989.
Exactly. The generation, what happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids received 24 vaccines. And they all had this thimerosal in them, this mercury, and nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child on his first day that he's born is injected with a hepatitis B shot. Under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot.
And yet we're just constantly pumping our kids with these vaccines. Right,
and what happened?
You know, it's wild because they'll scream trust the science, but these are the same. These guys do anything for a buck, right? They'll just parrot whatever narrative is in front of them. And then you can find the tape from just, decades ago where he's agreeing with RFK Jr. about the vaccines and how it could be dangerous and how there's no actual accountability. Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe was agreeing with RFK just some years ago.
Was that in 1988, 1 in every 2,500 American children had autism. Today, 1 in every 166 children have autism, and plus 1 in 6 children have other kinds of learning disorders, other kinds of neurological disorders, speech delay, language disorders, ADD, hyperactivity, that all seem to be connected, that are all connected, the science shows are all connected to autism.
You know, Bobby, what we've always found, you and I could debate 1,000 different issues, whether it's Terry Schiavo or the environment. I think would agree on the environment. But in this case, you've got the federal government coming in saying, well, there's no good science. And of course, in politics, science always gets diluted. Why hasn't the federal government stepped up and worked more? Because listen, Bobby, I can't prove it tonight. You can't prove it. But intuitively, you look at the spike, you look at what happened with the Marisol, there is no doubt in my mind, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now, we're going to find out that the Marisol causes, in my opinion, autism.
You know what?
Now, I don't know if the Marisol causes autism. I'm not a doctor. You should do your own research. But what I do find comforting is that a guy like RFK Jr. is going to be there looking over everything with a fine-tooth comb. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, I want to keep you up to date on that traffic situation there in Murray County, 65 northbound right before Saturn Parkway. You have the right shoulder blocked by a crash. It's a 48-minute delay right now. It's stop and go starting at the Kedron Road overpass. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. We are following the FEMA skipping Trump supporters' homes in response to Hurricane Helene hearing before Congress today. The Daily Wire says Director Deanne Criswell confirmed that FEMA has identified at least 20 homes that workers in Lake Placid, Florida skipped because they displayed Trump signs or flags. She also claims there was nothing in FEMA training that would lead employees to intentionally skip over homes due to political signs. Republican Representative Nancy Mace has introduced a bill that would ban transgender women from using women's restrooms and locker room facilities on Capitol Hill. Mace told reporters her bill is in direct response to the first transgender member of Congress, Democrat Sarah McBride of Delaware, who will begin her term in January. Mace also claiming her resolution and her position is feminist. But McBride, in a post on social media, calling the resolution disrespectful, a manufactured culture war, and a distraction from the issues Americans care about. Well, during a news conference today, House Speaker Mike Johnson didn't take a position on Mace's proposal, but did say he aims to treat all members with respect and dignity.
This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in a deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person.
Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron says the domestic violence fugitive, an officer shot in Nashville this morning, was on probation for aggravated burglary in March of last year and had been arrested on a probation violation warrant on Tuesday of last week, just 2 days before he allegedly punched the mother of his children in the face twice and held her against her will in a bedroom before he ran away. 21-year-old Nicholas Lane is at Vanderbilt for gunshot wounds in the leg and butt. Police say he fired first. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You can listen to the show wherever you go with the 99.7 WTN app or the iHeartRadio app or the TuneIn app. You can watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. I think I did all the things. If you miss anything or want to hear it again, share with a friend. Podcasts are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's officially all the things. It's 11:37. My name is Chris Hand. Jen Psaki, did you see this over the weekend? Jen Psaki, she's trying to defend transgender athletes by calling it right-wing propaganda. She even says that there is no threat to safety or fairness at all. It's an interesting take. This is Jen Psaki. She's upset that in the aftermath of the election, one of the things we might see is Democrats backing away from transgender issues. And we actually, full disclosure, we are seeing that. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took the pronouns out of her bio. Like, that's a signal right there that they're backing away. Jen Psaki says Democrats really need to double down on pushing the trans agenda on Americans. And that includes you stupid bigot, allowing boys to play in girls' sports.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights.
There's a lot of issues that she doesn't want Democrats to forget about. Transgender issues is one of them. I don't know how we could forget about it. I mean, I feel like we're constantly reminded, and it's screamed about at the top of everyone's lungs that this is the new civil rights movement, right? This is, how do we forget about it? You guys are constantly going on about it. But I digress.
Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender-reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people.
She did the thing. She did the handful. It's only a handful of cases. That's the new thing. It's only a handful. Listen, you have to understand that ad wasn't exactly attacking trans individuals as much as it was attacking the waste of your tax dollars. You know, it was twofold. They're definitely pushing a trans agenda in America. I think everybody understands that. But what the ad was actually attacking was that your tax dollars are being spent to transition prisoners and illegal aliens. It wasn't exactly an attack on trans individuals. You want to be an adult and you want to go full trans, like by all means, please. Be an adult, do your thing. Keep kids out of it and keep my tax dollars out of it. I don't think that that's a hot take. I think that is a sane, normal take. But Jen Psaki has a bit of an issue with that. And she continues. And she says, you know, these cases at schools, well, it's just right-wing propaganda.
That the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last week in Congress.
So she brings up this Massachusetts Democrat who has 2 daughters and he doesn't want them to be, you know, hurt playing against boys. He doesn't want the boys in their locker room. And Jen Psaki's defense is it's a handful of cases. And you know, the Democrat in Massachusetts, for the record, he was nervous about saying it. He came out and said it anyway, and good for him. Like I've said often, where are the dads at? Like even Democrat dads, where are you at? Well, now he's being threatened with primaries over not agreeing with boys and girls sport. Tolerant Massachusetts. You know, you can't. They're tolerant of everything except for ideas, right? And the idea that you don't want a boy playing against your girl in sports, that's a bridge too far. They're going to try and primary this guy.
Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. You know, maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
That's Democrat Rep. Seth Moulton. And listen, he's right. The backlash does prove that. You can't have it. But he says we're out of touch with the majority of voters. Jen Psaki's argument is it's only a handful of cases. So wouldn't that mean that he's right? You're out of touch with the majority of voters? Yes, that would mean that he's right. But Jen Psaki says, guys, handful of cases. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's right-wing propaganda.
Look, reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports. And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness.
There's not even evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness. Like we've seen girls in Massachusetts actually get injured playing basketball against boys. This one girl had her shoulder ripped out of her socket. You've seen it in volleyball where girls are getting balls spiked into their face by men and they're getting concussions and just being injured, just horrifically injured. Now, she says, listen, if it was thousands of schools, it would be up for a debate. We could have a debate. How many is enough? How many is too many? Is hundreds of schools too much? Would 100 schools be too many? I think 1 is too many. Remember during COVID, they told us if it saves one life, what if we save one girl? What if we save one girl? Is that, see, when you use their logic with their arguments, it doesn't work out for them. It doesn't. But it's just this is not even happening. It's a myth. It's a myth, says Jen Psaki. That there's fairness or safety issues. How about this? Frontlines TPUSA put this out yesterday. There's a senior, Mary Koff, senior high school sports, says she was benched during her senior season after 7 years of playing in her school district. She's calling out school officials for prioritizing one player's feelings over the rest of the team. The student claims that 3 teammates quit in protest, citing discomfort with the situation, and stated that the male player on their girls' volleyball team ruined the team's senior season by taking a spot that should have gone to a biological female. The student expressed frustration over what she sees as favoritism, asking, "Why are we pretending that men don't have advantages in women's sports?" Well, don't worry. This Clarkstown high school student, she just needs to understand this is just a handful of cases, and it's a minority. And actually, it doesn't. You might feel that this was unfair to you, but Jen Psaki said that it's actually totally fair, and that boy deserves your spot. This is happening so often. I mean, there's lawsuits being filed about this. Lawsuits. Utah State University is joining a lawsuit against the Mountain West Conference over trans inclusion in women's volleyball. Utah State University has moved to file a petition to join a lawsuit against the Mountain West Conference over allowing Blair Fleming, a trans-identified male, to play in the women's volleyball division. It's a handful of cases, right? It's just a handful. The lawsuit was filed last week in the district court for the District of Colorado by female volleyball players across the conference. They seek emergency injunctive relief prior to the November 27th Mountain West Conference women's volleyball tournament. Included as a plaintiff in the lawsuit is Kaylee Ray, a Utah State University women's volleyball co-captain. According to the Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz, who spoke with the Post Millennial, USU will have their petition filed with the courts Monday afternoon. On Monday morning, he, along with Utah Governor Spencer Cox and Utah Senate President Stuart Adams, asked Utah State University to move to intervene in the case against the Mountain West Conference. He added, if granted, Utah State University would join 11 women volleyball players from 5 universities and a coach in requesting the court to enjoin the Mountain Western Conference from enforcing its transgender participation policy. Female athletes deserve the right to a safe playing field, fair competition, and equal opportunities. By intervening, Utah will send a clear message that these rights are non-negotiable. So Jen Psaki will say that this is a minority issue. It's not happening in thousands of schools, so shut up. Don't ask questions about it. And it doesn't affect fairness or safety at all. Yet the state of Utah is like, no, it does. And we're actually suing to stop it. Good on them. We need to stand against this stuff. It's the argument that it's a handful of cases is ridiculous. There are other female volleyball players who have joined in this lawsuit. Brooke Slusser, she is San Jose State University women's volleyball co-captain. Nicanora Clark, a University of Nevada Reno women's volleyball team member. Sia Lely, the University of Nevada Reno women's volleyball co-captain. I mean, tons of women are getting involved in this. Say, enough. Can we just play volleyball in peace? Can we just have women's sports? Think about how hard women fought for women's sports and women's rights in general. And Jen Psaki goes on TV to tell to the tens of people in her audience that it's a minority issue and right-wing propaganda. It's insane. It's insane. And we're seeing incoming rage. It's been all over our newscast at the top and the bottom of the hour. This transcends, no pun intended, just school sports. It does. There's a new Democrat trans rep, Sarah McBride. She's incoming, and she's a bit heated over Nancy Mace's bill to keep males out of women's congressional bathrooms. And I would just like to say, hey, this is probably going to pass because Republicans are in control now. Rep Nancy Mace of South Carolina doesn't want to share the bathrooms with men and introduced a bill on Monday that would ban biological males from using the women's bathrooms in the U.S. Capitol. I say good. you can rage, but I think that this is actually going to go through. I do. It has to, right? The incoming trans rep, Sarah McBride of Delaware, he claimed that Mace's bill is an attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing. But it's likely that McBride, the first trans rep heading into the House, has a more personal perspective. If Mace's proposal goes through, McBride would have to use the men's room. Sorry. Deal with it. Elections have consequences. And this radical woke ideology has no place in America anymore. We're fighting back. We're fighting back. Nancy Mace going on the record saying playing make-believe dress-up doesn't mean you should be allowed in women's private spaces. Based. Thank you, Nancy. The bill would prevent any male with any job from using spaces that were designated for women. Under the Biden-Harris administration, the word woman was broadened to mean either females or men who say they're women. But the incoming Trump-Vance administration, they don't play like that. They're not doing that song and dance anymore. And I say good. Sarah McBride, it's a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing. I look around, I see a lot of solutions. We've been talking a lot today about Trump's cabinet and what their solutions are going to be on the border, on government overspending, on the Department of Defense, on DEI initiatives, on cutting government waste. Yeah, we do have solutions. Actually, it was the Democrats that lost because they have no solutions. They just have woke ideology that they're trying to jam down Americans' throats, and Americans said no more. It's 11:50 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. 11:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy back in the regular slot.
Hello. I'm very confused.
We can pass the baton of optimism today.
I'm not optimistic that we're not going to war.
Fumbled the
I'm
baton.
sorry.
We fumbled
I
the
don't
baton.
know. I'm a little concerned. Have you been talking about this? I've been out of pocket. I was touring. Can I tell you what I was doing today, by the way, as I interrupt myself? We're doing a show over at the Men of Valor campus in Antioch on December 3rd, and I toured the campus today, and I am so jazzed about this organization. And I know I talk good about them on the radio on the regular, but what a wonderful group of people bringing men in the prison system to God, and then not just dumping them when they get out of the system. They incorporate them back into life. I met a man today by the name of Tim, who has been with the Men of Valor system for the last 6 months, who was in jail for 47 years.
Wow.
I mean, I felt like I was in Shawshank Redemption, right? I mean, he was telling me about the changes that happened in the world. I mean, imagine being unaware of the changes in the world for the last 47 years and just reincorporating him into life and getting him reintegrated into life and helping him understand things. I mean,
what is this magic brick in your pocket that can get you anything?
That's exactly right.
Well, I first learned of Men of Valor when I first moved to Nashville. It's like 2017. And I remember hearing it on a Christian radio station that's since been sold.
Right.
And when they came over here, man, I was so excited because what they're doing is so different. It's so unique, and it works.
Well, and just every aspect of what they do leads back to there's ultimate accountability. There's worldly accountability, and then there's ultimate accountability. And until you get your soul right and your heart right, you're not going to get your mind right. And they just address that head on. Now, you don't have to be Christian to be a part of the organization. But if you're a part of the organization, you are going to be proselytized to. You're going to be discipled to. They're going to talk to you about the worldly reward that you can get by being on the straight and narrow, and the heavenly reward that you get from that too. So it's just a wonderful organization. So I did that today. There's your optimism. There's your hope.
Right.
There
we fumbled it, but the optimism baton has been picked back up.
And now let me dump on you that I think we're about to go to World War III. Anybody else? Anybody?
I'm at the point where I'm just like, can we just crap or get off the pot? Like this whole, is it World War III? Is it not World War III?
Just, I'm of the opinion that Joe Biden is attempting to screw this up as much as humanly possible before Donald Trump takes it over.
I'm of the opinion Joe Biden doesn't know where he is.
Oh, well,
it's the people behind the scenes pulling strings.
That's probably your opinion, probably more accurate.
Murphy's up next. It's 12 o'clock.